So across your own operations, you have carbon neutrality. But what about your suppliers and their carbon neutrality? How hard is that going to be?
So good morning, Anne-Marie. So first of all, it's the end of a very long journey. We decided 10 years ago that we would be carbon neutral by 2020. So we carbon neutral a bit, before the end of the year. And in order to do that, we had to reduce by 70% our CO2 emission since 2010. Looking at across the company, industrial sites, non-industrial sites, business travels, and also the supply chain. So when I talk about carbon neutrality at this point in time, it's clearly scope 1, scope 2, but a little bit of scope 3, which is already involving our suppliers. So for our suppliers, Anne-Marie, what we're doing is that we are auditing them, and we are making sure that they are complying with our sustainability requirements. When you do the first audit, normally they're complying 20 to 40%. You do the second audit, they are at 80%. And the third audit, they are normally above 98%. And if they're not, we are not keeping our working relationship with them. So already by achieving carbon neutrality, we involve a little bit our supply chain and the extended footprint of Signify. Just let me also tell you that we've participated to 2 virtual power purchase agreements, meaning that we help people who invest in renewable energy. And we've done that for the US in Texas and in Europe in Poland, which is a country which is relying a lot on fossil fuels. And I believe that in the no so distant future, we're going to be able to have the equivalent in virtual power purchase agreement of all our consumption in Europe. So as you can see, a very important milestone that we're very happy to achieve and close now with carbon neutrality for all our operations worldwide.
Eric, okay, a significant announcement. Congratulations. In this era, first of all, that kind of moniker beside you, which is carbon neutral, I'm curious to know how the investor base, are you seeing new institutions come onto the roster? Are you engaging more actively in terms of ESG and the investor base in Signify?
So, we've been on this for a very, very long time. So for us, it's totally part of the purpose of the company. So we do that very naturally. And we have some investors, I would say it's not the majority of them, but some of the very loyal investors that we have had in the past are very, very geared towards sustainability and ESG in general. We have sparked a lot of interest lately because that ESG is becoming, I would say into brackets, more fashionable. We're not doing it for that because we've been doing that forever. But we get now a lot of questions about ESG, much more than what we used to have from the investor base. And with the new program, as Anne-Marie was quoting, we now are looking at doubling from an already very strong base our positive impact to society and the environment, which is also triggering
but Eric, what we want to understand is this roadmap to sustainability. Will it change the complexion of investors with you? Are you actively engaging? Are you having different conversations? That's what we want to know. Your actions, will it deliver change in the roster?
So we are systematically, when we report results, having one part of our communication on sustainability, systematically. So we are engaging very actively with investors. Also that in our remuneration policy on the long-term incentives, 25% of the long-term incentive is purely on sustainability objectives. So yes, we're doing that quite actively, but for us, it's been something that we've done, for at least the past 3 to 4 years.
Has the coronavirus sped up these goals you had and these conversations you're having with investors?
So, coronavirus has not deterred our determination, and it didn't slow us down, in achieving those objectives, which we had to achieve, at the end of 2020. It's not only about carbon neutrality, it's about also zero waste to landfill. It's about auditing 90% of our supplier base. We do already more than that. It's also about reducing the number of accidents. It's also about sourcing all our electricity from renewable sources. So, it's a very complete package that we have here. So coronavirus didn't slow us down, and it has us also to focus, for instance, on health and well-being, which we think it's a sustainability domain. And we've developed, UVC lights, which is proven and to eradicate the virus that causes COVID-19 in a matter of seconds. So we've invested heavily in that part of the business because of COVID-19.
Eric, just let's expand on that very, very briefly. I think the market would like to know how much have you ramped up the production on that side of these ultraviolet lights that destroy COVID-19. What have you spent? What's the roll-up? Briefly.
So we have multiplied our capacity, our production capacity of the light source by a factor 8. We are bringing to the market in the second half of the year 12 different families of products worldwide, which is about disinfection of the air with upper air disinfection. We also acquired a company because this is part of technology that we didn't have. So we're investing quite broadly in UVC in general.